What's up, Gene?
What's up, man?
How's it going?
It's good. It's been a while.
It's been a while.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, so we got lots to catch up on.
Mm-hmm.
First thing, though, I've decided what I'm either getting you or I'm asking Liz to get you for Christmas.
Oh, boy.
A watch.
No.
A watch.
Why?
Well.
Oh, whatever. Whatever he's about to say, just ignore it.
So we were texting about what time we're going to get together today. And I said, hey, 4 o'clock.
Correct.
And that was accurate. But then I changed it and said, oh, actually, he wanted to borrow the lift to change oil. And so I'm like, hey, why don't you come over at 3:30 and then get the oil change, and then we can start on time at 4 o'clock. I didn't get a response.
I saw it.
So
no, but hold on. Look right there. It's not there.
Yeah, Gene is showing me a Photoshop version of his screen.
Which I photoshopped on the ride over here. In traffic in Buckley.
So the crazy thing, though, is that he didn't respond. I've kind of gotten used to Gene not always responding.
I'm not consistent. I give you that.
And so my first thought was, man, why didn't he respond? But I'm like, oh, okay, Gene just doesn't. I have an acronym for you.
Oh, no.
I have an acronym for you.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's called the WTRE. Yeah, the worst text responder ever.
Oh, I'm not the worst. I don't think.
All the people that I communicate with,
yeah, maybe.
You're in that group.
Okay. But there's people with me, though. Am I alone in that group?
No, you're not. You're not alone.
Yes.
You're not alone.
Misery loves company.
So my first thought was like, okay, he just didn't respond, so I didn't worry about it. So I go outside about 3:20, expecting him to be here at 3:30. I'm shooting some hoops, and then I'm like, oh, I need to go tell Smurf, my neighbor, the cheese guy. I need to go tell him something. I need to ask him a favor or something. So I walk over there, and I start talking, and then I get a detail job from another guy that was over there.
Oh,
said,
really?
Hey, are you busy? You got some time? So I picked up another job.
I did see him outside, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
He's in the garage, yeah.
So the guy that was over there had booked me for a job, and then Smurf is like, what about me? I'm like, I'm waiting on you to tell me. He's like, he wants me to detail a 56, 57 Thunderbird. You saw it,
I
right?
saw the black one. Yeah,
black one.
That's beautiful.
He wants me to detail that. And so I'm like, yeah, that's like an 8-hour.
That's going to be some work,
That's a long job. And so I'm like, I haven't had enough time to block out. So he wasn't too happy that I was taking another job in front of me. But I'm like, oh, I got to go. I got to get back over. I've got a buddy coming over at 3:30. And I'm shooting. I'm like, 3:45? What the heck? I text Gene, and she's like, you said 4. So then, we get into the whole thing. He didn't get the text is what it came down to. So I'm like, okay, he didn't get the text. But the other part was that we were going to start at 4. You know what time Gene arrived?
4:11.
12.
Okay, 4:12. Well, I did not account for the traffic going through Enumclaw. I didn't realize this would be that bad.
Oh, it's always terrible.
I had no idea because I never come here at 4 o'clock. I'm always either on the weekends, or like 2.
It's terrible.
So when I calculated the thing originally, it said be there at 3:57. Yeah. And no,
it's terrible.
I had no idea.
From about
note to self, add 20 minutes.
Yeah, really from about 3:30 on until about maybe 6. That back up across into the first light into Buckley.
Yep, that's the one.
It just backs up forever. I mean, I don't know why they can't improve it, but it backs up, and then once you get past the second light, and then you're going down 410, it's wide open. Mm-hmm. But those two things just maybe they're not in sequence, they're not timed right, and so you get free, but then the next one holds you up.
And it's a short light.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a short light. Yeah.
So frustrating.
Note to self.
I'm thinking, okay, I need to get Gene a watch to get on time.
My Apple Watch works great. It even has the Nike one on it. The Nike face.
Or I need to be better at asking Gene to confirm.
That may be better.
Okay, all right. So it's all serious. I guess what we need to talk about, what we've done lately, is we had a big event.
Yeah.
Had a huge event.
We had a massive event.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. So you want to start off and kind of tell us what
was going on? So, as part of the Cadillac V Club that both Dan and I are officers of, we put on an event for the WEC, the World Endurance Championship, in Texas at the Circuit of the Americas. So it was what's it called? It was the Lone Star Le Mans, right?
Yeah, Lone Star.
Yeah, Lone Star Le Mans. And we ended up putting together an event where we worked. We did end up getting Cadillac to show as well, and they great partner in Cadillac. But this was an event we put on, and we worked with COTA itself to rent a suite. So we had 51 people confirmed for the suite, and it was the race is about 6 hours.
Yep.
But you get there the day before, and we go do all of our setup, and we had such a great time. We had a meal the night before. We had the event on Saturday. Great racing, really hot. It was cool though that Cadillac was, as a great partner of ours, they brought in the race car drivers to talk to us for a little bit, do some photography, or get some pictures rather, do some autographs. Mm-hmm. One of the things that we did as a club was we created this. It's about the size of a placemat, like what's on the table here.
It's like a 18 by 24.
Yeah, yeah.
Size.
But it's a paper with a like a plastic coating on almost. Yeah, it's great for signatures. But it was the race car, some of the stats. It was just a really cool piece for our members to have, and then the drivers signed the whole thing, which is really cool. We had some other stuff that we've not seen at any other event that we've done, like the Rolex or Laguna Seca or others, where we had some commemorative lanyards and the I don't know what you call these.
The badges.
Badges, I guess. Yeah, badges. And we looked so legit. People were walking around. They're making their way into the pits when they shouldn't be, just because they had the badges on. They look like Jennifer did.
Official.
Yeah, she looked so official. People were kind of looking at us like, oh, these guys are really official people. They got nice badges. No, those are just ours for our members.
So Jen and her husband, and maybe was there a couple other people with
I think
them?
it's Jen and Wes.
They walked in. Not only were they in the paddock area, they actually got into the garage where the mechanics are actually working on the vehicle.
Yeah,
and they're just in there, and everybody's just walking around.
And no one said anything about it.
No one said anything because they all looked official with these badges and lanyards.
Well, that's what I've told people. I tell salespeople all the time, man. You may not be confident, but act as if. Yeah. Act as if you belong. Well, they acted as if they're supposed to be there. I'm surprised that one of them didn't say, hey, don't forget to put tire pressure in the tire over here. We want this one at 32. It would have been kind of funny, and not so funny because they would have been escorted out. Yeah. But anyways, really great event. We had Tony Roma come out. He's the I don't even know what his official title is. Chief Executive Engineer over Corvette and all GM performance cars. Yeah. So he's got the Corvette platform now from Taj has moved from Taj to him. He's also got the Black Wings because they're performance cars, or not the Black Wings, the V series cars rather. And he also has the Celestique. That is his quote unquote pet project that he's doing a great job with. So he's got a big job. He came out and he spent 45 minutes ish.
Yeah,
talking to us, asking questions or answering questions, and
we went out the night before though.
That's right. Yeah.
We went to dinner with him the night before and had.
I'll let you tell the story about the Corvette stuff because the ZR1. I think that's a great story. I've actually told some people about it. Yeah, so he went out with us the night before for dinner, and then we put him to work on Sunday, the day of the race, because we really wanted to. But it was cool. There's a lot of good racing up to the event, and then certainly the event. Cadillac didn't win. I think we came in fourth place.
Yeah, they didn't. They didn't have the best showing.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what. I've said this forever, and I'll always say it. This Cadillac GTP car, or the WEC version of it, there's no better sounding car in the grid.
Oh, that thing fires up.
That thing fires up, and when
over straightaway.
Oh, and when it's downshifting, it's just it is a sublime sound. Yeah. You want to tell a story?
Well, but before we go there, the suite, we were right on the straightaway, overlooking straight into the pit area.
Yeah, that's right.
And so when you walked out of the suite and you're sitting in the covered sitting area, you can look right down onto the track, right over to where the cars come in and they're working on it. So the vantage point was like prime.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to see all the way up to turn one. You could see the cars coming around, going into to get worked on. And if you were on the other side, where they also had suite access, you could only look down. You can actually see what they're doing because the balcony overhung where the cars were. So we had like
With the best view.
best, and there was nobody. We had was it out of how I don't know how many suites they had, 15, 20?
Yeah.
There was 2 or 3 that were even
Yeah.
occupied. Not a whole lot of people up in the suite area. So that was really good. I thought.
Did you go? Did you do the elevator thing at the top tower?
What?
Did you go to the tower and look down the big one that you can see, far?
You talking about the one that goes way up?
Yeah,
Yeah.
That was amazing.
So, yeah. Did you go there?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, Mike and I we walked
you
over
went
there.
You went there the day before.
No, we went the day of the race.
Oh, okay. So you must have guys got
After you guys went. After
okay.
you guys, a couple hours later.
That was cool. I don't know how many stories up it is. Like
I don't know. 15 maybe? 10? I don't know.
it's more than 15.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
pretty
probably
tall.
20 stories up.
Yeah.
I'd have to look it up, but it's pretty tall. And yeah, we went during the race, and there was nobody up there. There was maybe 10 or 15 people.
We had a lot more.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
It
But
was
didn't
great.
obscure the view because it's almost 360. You can walk
yeah, you
around.
walk all the way around, and it's got
So-
the glass platform where you can look through.
So here's a funny story with that. I'm not afraid of heights. And I've always said, like, I want to go to China and do the one where you walk out on the,
Oh, yeah.
you know what I'm talking about? You walk out on the glass. And then I walked out of the glass and I found myself like trying to walk light. And I'm a 260-pound man.
You're
I'm not
walking
walking, I was
light?
walking light on my toes. And I'm like, oh, I'm not afraid here. Why am I walking light? Because I'm afraid. It's really the weirdest thing. And, but it was a cool view.
Do you think that walking light
It did nothing.
dissipates your weight
No, it does not.
differently?
No, and because I thought to myself, why am I doing this? Like I'm intelligent enough to know it does nothing. It absolutely
I wish I
does
had
nothing.
seen that.
I know you did not want to see that, and I'm glad you weren't there because you would have hosed me for it. I would have never heard the end of it.
That is pretty hilarious.
I
that you were
know.
Tiptoeing. But that was a great vantage point.
It was great.
That was phenomenal. Other things I thought that was really interesting about that trip is that we got there. So we got there the day before everything opened, and then you, me, and Mike went and got everything set up, got all that stuff ready. But the next day, the track wasn't supposed to open till with the gates like 8 o'clock or something like that.
That's right.
About 8.
Yeah, you
So-
gotta tell this. Yes.
So we show up maybe 7. I don't remember the time, but it was significantly before the gates were supposed to open because we wanted to get there, make sure the suite's ready to go, so that when all the
We're the hosts, so we want to get
yeah,
there.
we were hosting.
Yeah.
We want to make sure everything's ready to go and have a good experience for the people coming in. So we first come in, you have to have a parking pass to get because we're in a special parking area, not the general. We have a up close parking, and so we have these tickets, electronic tickets, on the phone that you have to show. You're supposed to show to get access. So we pull into the first area where you go, and Mike picks his phone up, and the phone did not have the electronic ticket visible. It was just
It
his
had
phone.
timed out, so it was
had timed
black.
out, so it was black screen. He holds the phone up with the black screen, and they wave him through. And we're just cracking up like, no way, this guy just that must be the first gate. The next one must stop and check you. Nope, the next one, Mike raises the phone, and they wave you through. So we get all the way through the gate to park right up by front. So we're all having a good laugh. Funny. You know, they really didn't check us. So we get there. Now you also have tickets to go into the event. There was nobody there. Literally no one there. So we just walk right through.
We walked right through the front gates,
The
like where they
front
normally
gate.
scan you.
Just walked in,
Just walked in.
and there's just people kind of like workers that are out there getting stuff set up. They're just kind of out there and about. The area that you take the elevator to get up to the suites, those people weren't manning that room, you know, with the red carpet. They weren't manning it. So we went to the service elevator, which was working, and took the service elevator up to the suite area, and we got access to the suite without doing any tickets for the gate with the vehicle or in person.
It's a long way of saying there was no security.
They need to improve upon their
A
security.
little
Now,
bit.
We all had tickets. We all had legitimate tickets. I was just cracking up that how easy it was just to walk in there. And then the other one, I'll let you tell the thing about Tony because there's something else I want to ask you about Tony when you tell the story. We also did go-karting.
Oh yes,
We
yes,
did
yes, yes.
go-karting.
We need to come up with a real name for that. Like we did the
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 Rolex
24 minutes of
24
Rolex. We
minutes.
need to do like maybe the Lone Star. I don't know because it's the Lone Star Le Mans. We got to come up with something cool that
Yeah, we
is
should
our
come
own
up with
thing.
something.
Yeah, because that was fun.
So we did. Was it 3 of us? You
Yeah.
or was there 4?
No, there was 4 in the first one, and then 3 in the
Yeah, it
second.
was you, me,
Rob.
Rob, we go we go out there, and it was great. It was like early morning, pretty cool out.
Like, yeah, 9 or
and
so.
so we get out there, and they tell you, no rough driving, no kicking people off. If I'm going out there, I'm going out there because I want to win. I want to be at least the people I'm with, right?
Mm-hmm.
We get out. I was in the lead car, but my car wouldn't start, and so they let you go around. They let you go first.
Yes.
And so Gene went first. Then it was. Did they let John go too? Yeah, they did because I passed him. So John.
Yes.
John went, then me, and then Rob was behind. I think Rob might have been behind me. We're going, and the first lap is kind of a warm-up lap. They're electronically
limited,
it.
yeah.
And so the first lap, you're kind of warming up, and then when you get on the second lap, they open the throttle. And so now we're going full tilt. I can see Gene up ahead.
I had a good lead, too.
You had a good lead.
Yeah.
Gene was way out front. And
understand that there's a balance of power problem going on.
He's going to call the BOP.
It is a BOP, man. They got a BOP rules, man.
There's
I'm
always
260
something with
pounds.
this guy.
You're like 160. I'm just saying.
Well, wait a minute. Where's all that extra weight? What are you talking about, 160?
What are you?
See, look at
See, I just said 160.
Like adding weight to me.
That was it's not an insult. I was like, you're a muscular man, but
I'm
no.
like 157.
See?
We're going around, and I can see Gene, and every time I come around, I don't know how many laps we got. Maybe 20. Not more than 20.
No, not more than
Not
20.
more than 20.
No.
So as we're going around, I can see him. I have a marker, and I'm catching him every lap. I can see it. But John's in front of me. I had to get around John, and John's doing pretty good. He's driving well. After so many laps, you now catch traffic, right? So you have the slower people in the group that you catch up to. John got stuck behind a lap or something, and I took advantage and whoop, went right around him. And so then I'm working.
Oh, it was a father and son in that tandem car.
That's what it was.
That's right.
So I get around because John tried to go inside, and then he got held up, and I went all the way around and got around him. So now I'm working on you. Close. And then finally...
You caught me in the straightaway. I remember.
We're on the straightaway, and I remember putting my hand up, waving, and Gene just...
He's giving me the Princess Diana wave, you know?
He has a sign up that says, BOP, BOP. So then I walk away, and then so I think I came in out of our group. I think it was me, John.
Nope, it was you and me.
You and me.
John.
So we had a cool picture up on the podium. So that was a lot of fun. Then we did it again. John did the same thing to me that I did to him. I got stuck, and he went around me, and I
he went around the long way.
Yeah,
remember though, they gave me a car. They gave me the car because they couldn't strap me in.
Oh, that's right.
So they're like, go to that car over there. Well, that's for the fat guy car. So they go over there, put me in the fat guy car.
What was the name of the car? Wasn't it called Big something?
I don't know. It was basically says you can't fit in the seatbelt, which I could, but I think they're running whatever. So I get in that thing. As soon as I floor it, I'm like, oh man, that thing's really running slow. And then after the first lap, as Dan said, they kind of turn it on electronically. Now you go full bore. Mine didn't. So I just kept going at the same speed. At some point, I decided I don't need to use two hands, and I put one hand up on the thing like this. And did you see that?
It was like a Sunday driver.
It was like a Sunday drive with my arm on the seat next to me, just cruising. Hey, how y'all doing? Angry, just so angry, because I'm like I want to compete, man. I want to have fun and go fast. That was not the move.
That was funny.
Yeah, it was fun. No matter what, it was just a ton of fun.
It was a really good track.
Really good track, actually.
And I mean, I was pushing it pretty hard, and then we went and looked at the all-time leaderboard, and they were beating me by 5 seconds. I'm like, I don't even know how you get 5 seconds.
I don't know where they found that though. I mean, there's
when we did the 24 minutes last year, I'd never been on go-karts. I've just never done that, and so I didn't realize about lifting the throttle. I just didn't know how you drove a go-kart. I was trying to drive it like a car, putting on the brakes and then trying to accelerate, and I lost so much time. So this time, get that, I'm not using the brake at all. I'm just full throttle or let up the throttle.
Yeah.
I'm not even using the brake.
So my problem was I used the brake a little bit. It wasn't until that second half of the first session that I stopped, and I also started using a lot more curbing.
Oh yeah, I was using the curbing.
Yeah, I didn't use. I was trying to drive it like a car. Yeah. I didn't want to use a ton of curbing, but then I'm like, oh screw this, I'm just going to curb it.
Hey, the curbs. It's
they're
not
there
a
for a reason.
Violation.
No one. No one at FIA was like, Gene, that's track limit violation. I'm going to give you 5 seconds. No
There
one
was
said
some
that.
guy I was following, and he was faster than me. When at some point I was behind him. I don't know where it was, but the section that had curbing, but there was enough stuff on the outside where it was level. He was splitting the curb, so the curbing was like going underneath him. You could hear it go under the go kart, but his both wheels were on flat pavement.
Oh, he split the
He
really?
split it.
That's interesting.
I was like, yeah, that's that. I'm willing to take the wheels up on the curbing, but I'm not willing to. That's a clear violation. You're like taking advantage of that. I didn't do that, but that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I want to tell the story. I'll let you tell about Tony in a minute. I want to tell about the Johnny O'Connell.
Oh God.
So
Yeah, do that.
we're walking around with Rob. We had just come back. We just finished
Yep.
our first session at the go kart.
There's the guy that you guys were talking to with the red Ferrari shirt on.
Yeah. We were coming back, and Rob had a hat on. I think it was a white hat. Johnny O'Connell wears a lot of white. You see him a lot of
White on
pictures.
white,
It's
yep.
always white, right? Rob had white hat on and a white polo shirt. I think it said Cadillac or something. And we're going in the red carpet area to the suite. That's where we're going in. Someone, a passerby, made a comment about Rob, and they thought that it was Johnny O'Connell. They said, "Is that Johnny?" And Rob's like, "No, I'm not Johnny. But this is the new hot shoe," pointing at me. "This is the new hot shoe for Cadillac." Okay, that guy leaves, thinking that I am this hot shoe driver, right? Because we're going into the red carpet area,
Yeah.
right?
You can kind of see this.
I can completely see
Yeah.
because we were chuckling amongst ourselves, but he couldn't really see it. He's not standing right beside us. So we all had a good laugh that they thought this Rob was Johnny O'Connell. From afar, he kind of looks like Johnny O'Connell.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. I could see how you get him confused. So we're all having a laugh. Then we go out to the second session of go-karts, and that guy is standing there. He comes up to me, and he kind of leans in with a low voice, like you whisper to somebody, and he's like, "Hey, are you the hot shoe driver for Cadillac?" It was so funny. And then I realized, okay, who that guy was, and I'm like, no, I'm not the hot shoe driver. But that was so funny that he thought that.
That's
okay,
funny.
Let's. Why don't you tell about Tony going out to dinner with Tony?
I'm trying to determine what we can say.
Yeah.
So I'll do. How about this? We'll leave that. We'll leave the 0-1 thing for a later date.
Okay. All right.
I'll tell the story about the spanking.
That's what I was going to ask you about. I was going to ask you about that. So
I was sitting next to Tony, and Tony's a great guy. He's every time we talk to him, he's got great stories and stuff. So he's regaling us with stories, and he is talking about what he can talk about with regards to the ZR1, which is cool. Not saying much, but just enough to wet our whistle a little bit. Somehow the subject turned to kids, and I made a comment about my son come back to me earlier this year, and his countenance was wrong after he got home from work, and I said, "What's wrong, son?" He's 16 at the time. And he said, "Dad, I got a speeding ticket, a $600 speeding ticket." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, well, now we're going to get that thing fixed." And I made my son pay the lawyer to get it, written off. So I made my son pay it because it was his ticket. So I was telling that story to Tony. Tony, I have not seen him that animated. He was so freaking animated. "You screwed up, Gene. Should have taken his car away from him. Should have sold it. Made him ride a bike. Never would have allowed that to happen." And he was just having at it. And I thought it was the funniest thing ever because he was just being super animated and trying to be funny. But later on, after the meal was done and we're talking, I made a comment to him. I said, "Tony, I really thought that you were going to spank me like one of your children or something." He was like, "Gene, I know you would like it too much. So no, we're not going to do that." Pretty quick, dude. He's pretty quick. He was animated though. It was too
he was
funny.
Serious.
He was dead serious.
He was dead serious. And the funny thing is that I'm with Tony. If my kid did that, I would take the car. There's no, "Hey, let's pay some money to get it dismissed." Now, he might have paid the money to get it dismissed, but I would have taken the car away. I don't remember the details of his ticket.
Timmy's?
Yeah, Timmy's.
Well, it wasn't even a speeding ticket. They called it. It wasn't even reckless endangerment. It was something. It was the minimum thing that the cop could put on there because he was coming towards them when they were driving by.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So it's something. Whatever, ES2 or something. That's why it was blown. That's why it was dismissed because there was actually nothing that the cop could say other than, "I think you were driving unsafe."
They could have anything good.
Right. So they had nothing to go off. But the problem is, my son goes to college as well. I'm like, man. But I did say, here's what I told him. I said, "Listen, this is your one pass. if you do it again, I'm taking your car and I'm going to sell it because remember the car is actually in my name. And then you're going to take a bus, and the bus starts outside our subdivision. It goes to Kent, and then it goes to college.
Oh.
So you'll spend every morning for at least an hour and a half on the bus, like your older brother did before he could drive. So he knows what the expectation is, and I never got a chance to finish that story before Tony lost it.
I know.
He was so funny, man.
That was great, man.
It really was great.
Oh, it would have been cool just to have a video of he was animated and he was dead serious.
He was dead serious. Yeah,
Dead
yeah,
serious.
for sure. Like, man, that was too funny, though.
That was a good trip, though.
That was really
that
good.
was really fun. The B Club did a phenomenal job. Shout out to Mike, did a great job on all the coordination and all the work.
Yep.
Everyone had a blast.
You got us a great sponsor.
Oh yeah, we'll give a shout out to Covert Cadillac out of Texas, and they really stepped up and got it to work with Cadillac and got the funding so that we could actually make this possible. Without sponsors, we couldn't do it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just.
We're trying to make this affordable for our members, and by having the sponsors that we have, we're able to. We don't pocket the money into our bank account. We actually take all the money and put it right toward the cost of the event to buy it down, so we can then pass it on to our members. Otherwise, it would have been an over $1,000 event, as it was because of the sponsorship from Covert Cadillac that Dan had worked out, and the V Club funding it as well. We got the cost down to $550. It would have been very expensive for our members. I'm sure many of our members would have filled it or would have still done it. I don't think we would have had a full 51. No.
No, there's no way we could have filled
Yeah.
that. That's a significant amount of investment. Now I could see for like the Rolex because it's a longer race.
It's essentially a 3-day deal.
Still a 3-day
Friday,
deal.
Saturday, Sunday,
It's
yeah.
still a 3-day, but the amount of race time.
Yeah.
But that was great. That was a really good event. Look forward to planning that for.
Yeah, for sure. So that's what we did That's what we did car related recently. That's car related.
That was a lot of stuff.
That's
man.
a lot of stuff,
That
though.
was a lot. Let's talk about crashes,
Oh.
accidents,
Okay.
stuff around there. I think on one of the earlier ones, I've talked about my history, right?
Yes, you talked about your crashes.
Early on,
I think you crashed like four or five cars in a row, something like that.
Something like that.
Go check out episode 1.
But let's talk about things that you were involved in, that you helped out in. I'll start out. We'll see where this goes.
Okay.
Every year we try to go to Lake Tahoe for vacation. Something we've been doing for 28 years now. We're always going down to Lake Tahoe. So this one year, just Cheryl and I, before we had kids, and we're driving down. And this is in the summer. Always go in the summer, and it's on one of the back roads somewhere in Nevada. I don't remember exactly where, but we're coming around this bend like a Winnebago. You know, the big Winnebago RVs, drivable, old one. We see it off the road in the distance, and I see debris kind of strewn everywhere. So it's really weird. And I see a car. There's like a couple cars stopped. We stopped the vehicle to see what the heck is going on. This RV somehow lost control, went off the road. And you know how those Winnebagos are not built super well. When it started rolling, or when it started tumbling off the road, it just littered. I mean, if you think of the old...
So it actually tumbled itself and rolled. Oh, okay.
So you think of those Top Gear episodes where they take those RVs and they have stuff thrown everywhere?
Yeah.
That's exactly what it looked like. So then it's on fire. It's out there. And so we're like, holy crap.
Now, hold on. Did you see it happen, or did you?
It happened literally...
Right before you got there?
Right before we got there.
So you saw the aftermath.
We just saw the aftermath.
Okay.
Within minutes. It just had happened. So we're like, crap, we need to do something because there's no police anywhere around there. I go out. I think Cheryl and I get on either end, on one side of the RV where it went off, and I'm on the other end. So we'll just say north and south on the road. It's a 2-lane road. And we're blocking traffic. So we're both out there stopping traffic. I don't know if I called or if someone else called the police. We are directing traffic, Cheryl and I, from either end, trying to let people go through, one at a time, letting traffic go through.
All right, let me time you out here for a second.
Okay.
All right, so what happened to the driver and the passenger? Were they out of the car?
They're out of the vehicle.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good piece of information to have, because I'm thinking, man, my man just pulled up there with his wife. So everyone stop. We're going to go this way.
Right.
They're on fire and dying, but everyone just move over.
They were okay. They were out of the vehicle.
Okay, good.
Sitting down, laying down. They were okay.
Okay, good.
At some point, how long, and I don't remember at this point, but the State Patrol shows up. They're there, and they're like, hey, we need you to go put some flares. We need to go get some flares. So they gave us some. We went to the back of their car, State Patrol car, popped out some flares, I popped the thing on the flares, and now we're spreading flares out to let people know. We put the flares out. I asked the cop, I'm like, hey, do you need us to do anything? He's like, yeah, it'd be great if you guys can still stay and help direct traffic because I need to go tend to the people and whatever. Cheryl and I are still literally, probably for half an hour, maybe an hour, we're still there directing traffic while the cop is doing whatever the cop needs to do. And at some point, he finally came up and said, okay, thanks, we're good. And then we got on our way. That was crazy that we just happened to be there.
Yeah.
No one else stopped. No one else said, hey, can we help? Other people were just like, hey, they were, as we were waving them by, they just kept going. No one stopped to say, hey, can we help you? Mm-hmm. If we hadn't stopped, how long would it have been until someone else
And
had
that was
stopped?
over 20 years ago you did that, right?
Yeah.
So nobody would stop today.
Probably not.
Because everyone's afraid of getting sued.
Yeah.
Of something's happening, and they're like, yeah, no, not my problem. And that's the sad part.
It is sad.
Most people would not stop anymore.
No, and I've got two other things related to that. And you're right. People, either they don't think about it or they just don't want to do it. I don't think we tried to find out whatever happened, but we never did find out what happened. Somehow they made it to their destination. I feel bad because their RV was completely gone. Okay, this is within the last, we'll say 8 years, this one happened. Me and a buddy flew into LAX for work, and I always flew into LAX and then took a drive where I needed to go. So this is midday, like noonish, somewhere around there. We get a rental car and we're driving to the office. I forgot what the road is, like 405. That's probably not the right one. 105, maybe it's the 105. Anyway, it's the main road leaving airport going eastbound. Okay, it's like 4 or 5 lanes on each side. Big interstate. We're driving. All of a sudden, at the last minute, there's like all this traffic. Now, there's always traffic in LA. I hate going out of LA.
Oh, I hate LA.
It's always terrible. We're going along at a fast speed, and then all of a sudden, slammed on the brake. We slammed on the brakes, and like 2 cars ahead, there's a flipped over van. So again, literally just happened right before we get there. I slammed the vehicle in park. I have a buddy with me. I jump out of the car, and I run to the turned over van. This guy never gets out of the car. He didn't get out of the car. He's sit there.
And it was the same family.
I get up on top of the van. I'm like, hey, how did you get here again? I just saw you 10 years ago. So they're in a turned over van. It's a guy that's in the van, and I think he had another passenger. That person had already climbed out the top of the van. It's on its side. So I'm up on top of the van helping this guy get out of the vehicle because I don't know, is there leaking? Like I hadn't surveyed the vehicle. I just want to get the people out.
Yeah.
You don't know what's happening. I help this guy. I get the guy out of the car. Both people are okay. There's no injury. I surveyed the vehicle. There's no leaking gas, no threat of fire at that point. So I'm like, hey, are you okay? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, then I'm probably going to move on unless you need me. He's like, no, I'm good, thanks. So I get back in the car talking to Neil, and he's like, man, I didn't even know what happened. He's like, you stopped the car and you were gone before I even realized what in the world was going on. And I see you standing up on top of the van helping some guy out. I'm like, he's telling me, what in the world is Dan doing?
Why didn't he get out to come and inspect?
He was... I don't know. I mean,
shocked, maybe?
I may be shocked about, what's happening. And, again, like you said, most people don't react to go help. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that Neil is he's a phenomenal friend, really good person. He will help people all the time. But his first instinct wasn't to run into the, quote, the fire. It was to, hey, what's going on? And
Was he military?
No, he wasn't.
You just think that some of the military mindset is trained to go into the fire versus.
I never thought about it. Could be. I've had several instances where I literally run into it and I don't think about it. I just think about the person.
Yep.
Maybe the military. I don't know.
Just a thought.
I did that, so that was interesting that I had 2 vehicles that I was involved in, and the third one I'll tell you, it's not vehicle related, but it ties to the first, or it ties to the other ones. So we're overseas. We're in Malaysia. Same guy, my buddy Neil. We were just coming back from lunch, and we were on the 4th floor. This is where the office was. We're on the 4th story. Come up the elevator, and the elevator door opens, and there's like a ton of people right there, which is very abnormal. And I'm like, what's going on? They're like, oh, I forgot the girl's name. So-and-so, there's something wrong with her. I take off running. Literally, I run straight to her. I'm like, what's going on? They're like, I don't know. She's got like pain in her side or something. I'm like, We need to get her to the doctor. I pick her up, pick this girl up in my arms. And I'm like, okay, someone go get the cart. We got to go to the hospital. So I pick her up. I go back to the elevator, and I get in the elevator. And at that point, that adrenaline rush had worn off about picking her up because I have her cradled.
And now you're like, oh.
Now I'm in the elevator, and I'm holding her, and I'm like, holy crap. Like, she's a small girl because most Malaysians are pretty petite individuals. But I'm like, okay, yeah, this is like heavy now. And so I kind of squat. I kind of do a squat, like with my back against the elevator, and I'm holding her upright because she's like in really bad pain.
So she's more like she's not helping you.
She's not helping me at all.
Yeah, which is so much worse, right?
Yeah, she's not offloading anything because she's in so much pain. She can't do anything. So I kind of do like an L position, like a wall sit.
Yep, like a wall sit. Yep.
And so I shouldn't have done that.
Did you slip?
No, I didn't slide.
Okay.
You know, with a wall sit is that you need to get up, right? And normally, if you're just doing a wall sit and you've got like weights in your arms or something, they're beside you.
You drop them.
You just drop them if you need to get up and you can't. Well, I have this woman in my arms that I now need to get out of the complete L position upright. I almost dropped her. Oh my gosh. I almost dropped her. It was all my might just to be able to stand up. So I stand up. They had got the car around front, and I put her in the front seat, and they take her to the hospital. And I go back up, and same guy Neil, and he's going to listen to this, but I just saw him the other day, and I'm like, hey, do you listen to podcasts? He's like, I didn't know you had one, so he's going to now hear the story.
Hello, Neil.
Hey, Neil. He's like, I didn't even see what was going on. He's like, all of a sudden they said so and so had a problem, and you were gone. Like you picked her up. Like, where does that come from? I'm like, I don't know, man. People needed help, and I had to go. So I've had these incidents where 2 of them were car-related that thankfully I was on the positive end of being able to help out people, that I didn't have to, I wasn't on the negative side of that, but it was interesting nonetheless.
Yeah, for sure. Running into it, though, it takes a special kind of person, so...
Yeah, I'm not, and I didn't
I know
tell
you're
this
not.
to pat myself.
No, I know you're not, but it takes somebody. Most people don't. They're going to sit back and wait to see who else steps up to do it. So it's cool you did that. And I know you're not, patting yourself on the back. You're not that kind of guy. So I'm thinking to myself, I don't have anything like that. Like you said, car accident. I have one of those when I told her my car. I don't think I told the story.
I don't think so.
I don't think I told her my car.
Okay, let's hear this.
But after I just hear, got a hero sitting in front of me, like, see, I may have to make like my own little medal for you. You got the People, Cars, and Roads Medal of Honor.
Okay, I'll expect that at our next podcast.
We'll do the next podcast. It may be like plastic or paper, paper mache with crayon. Not even colored in the lines either, too, by the way. Not even in the lines, man. I'm not even going to do it that good.
Wow.
Yeah. My grandfather, he bought all his grandkids a car. 4 of us. Myself, my brother, my cousin Crystal, and her brother Freddie. So we all got cars, right? My brother got an international pickup truck. Yeah, like the SUV kind of deal, which my grandfather still has riding in his yard. As he does. It was routed back then, by the way, but it drove. I think my cousin Freddie got a Delta 88 or something like that.
A Delta
88. Something of that nature. Yep. And my cousin Crystal got like a Chevy Beretta, like a relatively new Chevy Beretta. And I was like, Grandpa, what's up, man? He was like, she's a girl. She gets the good stuff. I'm like, oh, I guess I get that.
You know that they only made the Beretta. Didn't they only make the Beretta for like a very short amount of time because they got sued by Beretta?
No, I didn't know that.
I think Beretta sued Chevy because of the name, right?
Really?
Beretta, it's a gun.
Well, yeah, for sure.
And so I think it was limited. Anyway, continue on, but I think...
I'm going to look that up, too. I'm going to fact check you.
Fact check.
We're going to do some fact checking.
I think that happened. I think that was a limited, like 1 or 2 years, and then they got taken to court, and I think that Chevy stopped selling that name.
They were sued for, so, Chevrolet Beretta. So General Motors was sued by Fabrica D'Armio, I'm not going to say it, but Beretta, for trademark infringement involving use of their Beretta name for a car.
Yep.
It was settled out of court in 1989, which is interesting. So, wow. So my buddy in the Army, Kelly, he had a black Beretta. Chevrolet Beretta with like a red trim. It was like the spoiler version of it. It was a great, moved all around Germany in that car. So my cousin got that car because she's the girl and she gets the nicer. Okay, I get it. After having a daughter, I get it too. My daughter got a nicer car than my boys. Suck it up, boys. Suck it up, Buttercup.
You know what's funny is that my daughter is going to actually get a nicer, not on purpose, but it's how it happened. She's going to actually get a nicer vehicle than my son.
Hey, that's the way it goes. I'd tell the boys, suck it up, Buttercups.
Yep.
You know? And then I end up getting a 1974 Volvo station wagon.
Ooh,
like the DL 170 or something like that. It was this dark blue exterior, 4-speed, right? It had 4 different colored interior panels because, clearly from different cars. It didn't have a radio in it, so it had like a boom box.
Exterior different colors.
No, interior panels were all different colors. There's like brown, there's like a dirt, almost like a purplish.
Like door panels?
Door panels and the carpet with the brown leather or the brown pleather seats. Oh man.
Oh man.
And no radio, so I had to get like a boom box and put it in the passenger seat.
Yep.
Right, and then the hatch on the back of the wagon didn't lock. So if you're going over train tracks, you go up and down, flop and down. It was a great car.
You didn't have a bungee cord?
Oh, no, I did. But it still didn't lock it in enough. It would come up.
Only down south do people put bungee cords on their
Florida. Hello. So I had that car. And, other than the fact that we kept blowing triodes out of the alternator, replacing alternators every 6 months, we couldn't figure that piece out. But it was a good car. The seat belt, so this is the key part of the story. The seat belt never worked, meaning I would snap it in and the waist part worked, but the strap.
It didn't retract?
No, though, it just laid flat, like a wet noodle in my lap. But I was told to always wear the seat belt, so I always wore the seat belt. Plus, it had the lap belt part of it, so at least I had something.
You didn't break your head, but
or submarine underneath it, So I was at my girlfriend's house. She was in South Tampa, and I wasn't dating her for very long, maybe 6 to 8 months, something like that. I wanted to leave to go get a Hot Rod magazine. So I was doing it.
Remember the magazine?
I remember the magazine. We were going to get a Hot Rod magazine. I'm like, ooh, it was early in the month. I'll go get a Hot Rod magazine. So I was going to drive down to the Publix, and her parents were cooking breakfast. I had spent the night. I get in my car, and I drive. And I wasn't used to the area. So I'm cruising down this one road. It's a pretty wide road. There's houses on both sides, and I thought it was a through street because it was a pretty wide road, but houses on both sides, and I didn't see the stop sign until it got to about right here, like parallel to my eyeballs. And then I saw the stop sign. At the same time, I saw the Mustang that I T-boned.
Oh.
Just nailed it. I'm probably doing 40. Now, the Volvo DL 170 is not a light vehicle. I mean, it's a heavy car, surprisingly enough. But I hit it with such force that I spun around. My volleyball, my surfboard, all the junk I had in the back of the thing flew out.
Surf.
I did. I wasn't good, but I did.
Okay.
I would skip school and go across the country. Sorry, Mom. I don't think know if I ever told you that. I'll go across, not the country, go across the state and do that. So wasn't good though. And my dad and I went and did it. I have a story about that too. So everything spewed out the back, radio, all that stuff, junk everywhere. And I get out of the car, and the owner of the car comes over, and he's yelling at me. You're supposed to stop. And I'm 17. I'm like, no, duh. I didn't know that. But I looked at his car, and two things freaked me out. I hit him so hard in the side of the car that his hood dented up. Also hit him so hard that when his door opened, the car seat baby carrier fell out of the car. It was laying upside down. And when I realized that, I freaked. Because I'm thinking, oh my God, there's a baby sitting there. But wait, then I thought, wait a minute, why is this guy yelling at me? Why is he not getting the baby? That's no kid. So thank God.
No kidding.
Yeah. So he was on his way to pick up his kid.
Oh man.
Not on the way back. And surprisingly enough, the guy actually calmed down and checked on me and made sure I was doing okay. And I had to go call my girlfriend, my mom and dad. They'd come over. My mom's crying. I'm like, I'm fine, Mom. I'm good. Moms cry. That's what they're supposed to do. I would, my kids, I'd cry too probably. About 2 or 3, maybe 4 weeks later, something like that. Sometime later, let's call it that. I get a random call at the house. It ended up being the guy I hit. Now, I don't know how he got my number. Maybe my parents gave it to him, I guess, and exchanged insurance. But he called me to ask how I was doing.
Whoa.
Yeah, and I said, I'm doing good. And he said, hey, man, listen, odd way of saying, but thank you. I ended up getting a brand new Mustang out of all this. I'm like, thanks. I'm riding my bike and bumming rides for my friends. So, cool. Thanks, buddy.
Oh, man.
Man.
I thought you were going to tell me he said thank you because he got a real car and went away from Ford and went to Chevy.
No, he got another Mustang, so he was clearly delusional.
I thought you would help him out and get rid of that Ford.
No. The funny thing is I went from that car to like this Chrysler LeBaron.
Oh man, the LeBaron.
Yeah, this is like this thing had rusted panels on it. Had a was it 727 torque flight? No. It wasn't one of the short ones. It was an older model of that thing, and it was a beast. It didn't run very well, and I kept it long enough until the girl I was seeing at the time, her parents actually, and her grandfather had this 1972 Chevrolet step-side pickup truck in a field in Dade City. And I think I mentioned this on the podcast one time. And he gave it to me. I drove that, and that thing was great. It was like the 69 Camaro of the truck world. Yeah, but here's the thing about the seatbelt. We'll come back to that. The seatbelt never worked, except the one day I needed it to work. And it worked. It kept me from going through the windshield or getting injured in any way.
So it wasn't just a lot down?
So when I snapped it in, the hip part was nice, right? The waist belt was fine. The lap belt was tight. But the top part always laid in my lap. It's laid there. It wasn't ever, tight across the chest. But when I hit that car, it snapped up, came across the chest, and kept me from flying through the windshield. Cow. The one time the thing I needed to work, it worked. Massive Volvo fan. I've never owned one, probably never will. But
they're great safety.
They are. I mean, great car for a seatbelt that always was kind of like, I'm too tired to work, man. I don't want to work anymore. I'll just work when you need me. It came through in a clutch, bro. It came through in a clutch. So I'm all about the Volvo, man. I think that was a divine intervention on that seatbelt.
Wow.
And what's funny, when you looked at the damage, you surveyed the damage, the headlights, they didn't break.
How's that even possible?
I have no idea. But the engine was designed to move back and drop, and that's exactly what happened. So the car hit it, the engine moved back and then dropped, and you can see the crumple zones where they crumpled, and the steering shaft had the crumple, connection. It crumpled completely, so it didn't get pushed back into my chest because no seatbelt in 1974 Volvo. Yeah, I thank you, Volvo, by the way, for ever listening. Thank you very much for that car. It saved my life, or at least saved me from getting injured, probably.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't believe that it didn't break the headlights.
I can't. To me,
those were probably glass.
They were glass.
Then?
Yeah, they were glass. But that Swedish glass must be something special, man. I'm telling you, because I could not believe. I look at why are they both working? Like they're on and they're working, and they're not cracked or broken. I'm like, man, wish I had eBay back in the day. I'd taken them off. I'm taking these with me, man. These things are gold.
Oh man. So how long until you got your next vehicle? So how long were you bumming rides?
It was probably a couple months.
Okay.
Yeah, and my parents bought me the car. They got it from a friend for like $500, and it was like a $500 car.
Yeah.
But beggars can't be choosers.
Nope.
So I drove it. Was thankful for it. Hey, the car had cable driven. What's it called? Cruise control. Car had cruise control. Yeah, so like if I wanted to set the cruise control, I had to pull out the knob. It had like a cable on it, and I would set the cruise control.
I've never seen one of those.
I didn't either. It was the weirdest thing, but it worked.
So you're driving.
Yeah, if I'm cruising and I want to go to cruise control, and there was a knob on the dash, I would just pull it out.
And it would
because it was carbureted, and it was carbureted car, but it had some vacuum and other solenoid kind of things on there. That when I pulled out the knob, it was attached to a cable. You could feel you're pulling the cable, and
it just locked up.
Yeah, I assume it must have did some kind of electrical connection to a solenoid on the inside of the engine, but I don't know.
Wow. So today we learned something. I learned something new because I want to go investigate this, and Gene learned that Gene was sued and for Beretta.
I learned something new in the podcast. I had no, but it makes sense though for the Beretta piece stuff. That's my story, man.
Cool. Sounds good. Well, I guess till next time.
Till next time. That's it.